Imagine you've just started your business. Imagine you've started a mortgage broking business, for instance, and you've been going along, 10 to the dozen, just fantastic. And then all of a sudden, things start to go wrong. The lender declines a loan, you get another loan decline, there's a property that's unacceptable, and all this stuff starts to fall apart. And you start to feel the pressure because you care about your clients. You really care about them, and they're getting hurt. And you're getting hurt because they're being hurt, and you're having this discussion with your significant other that says, I don't think I can do this. I can't, it's too hard. I can't do this. And you get referred a couple. They're teachers. She's the librarian at a private boys' school, and he's the social studies teacher. And they come to your office, and when you open the door, you're greeted with a little woman who's built like a tank. She's about this high, she's about this wide, and she's been put together with steel plate and rivets. She's the librarian at a private boys' school. This woman is tough. In fact, you notice there's some rust running down her fingernails as she comes through. She's a tough woman. And as you open the door, she simply pushes her way past you and sits in the seat in front of the empty desk. The husband, on the other hand, who remembers The Young Ones, the TV show The Young Ones? Have you ever seen that? He's Neil from The Young Ones. This guy wears flares and he's out of the 60s. And he takes one step into your office and he stops and he says, "There is such a good feel in here, a vibe. Did you feng shui?" And you don't know what feng shui is. So you say, "Yes, of course I feng shuied." And you usher him in. He sits down. As you sit down behind your desk, the wife who's sitting there is staring at a point on the wall that would be above your head if you were sitting down. As you sit down, she drops her gaze and she looks you square in the eye and she says this: "I don't know what we're doing here. You can't help. No one can help. This is a complete waste of my time." And starts to stare back at the wall. And you go, "This is excellent. We're communicating. We've got something happening here. She's talking to me." The husband then starts to tell you the story. 18 months prior to this meeting, happy, joy, cruising along. He has one family member in the world, a sister who lives in Melbourne, and she's diagnosed with brain cancer. She's given 2 weeks to live. Phone call. Only family member in the world other than his own family. What do? He jumps on a plane with his wife and they fly down to Melbourne to be with his sister while she's dying. But she doesn't. She lingers for about 12 months. Every weekend they're jumping on a plane, they're flying down, they're paying airfares and they're staying in accommodation, they're going to see her, get the phone call and they whiz back down. They've got a teenage son. What do your teenage kids do every weekend you're away? Or what did you do as a teenager? What do you guys do when mum and dad are away? You what? Party, absolutely. Number one son. Have a party and they get bigger and bolder and bigger and bolder. And they tell you that number one son takes the family Magna and goes on a beer run with 5 of his mates, and what's he do? Straight into a tree. In fact, you remember reading the story in the local paper a couple of weeks before, and no one died, thank God, but this kid is really badly knocked about. He needs serious surgery. Both his legs have been shattered just below the hips, and he needs surgery to correct this or he'll never walk again. The first thing you stop paying, of course, when money gets tight is insurance. They've got no medical insurance, they've got no car insurance, so they go back to the same bank. They've been paying their home loan for the last 15 years. Month in, month out, never missed a beat. Didn't make extra payments because no one told them you could. Didn't make fortnightly payments because no one told them you could. They go back to the same bank manager who says, "Yeah, not a problem. I'll give you a car loan and a personal loan for the young bloke." About the same time. Funny how things happen in threes. About the same time, number one daughter comes home from Adelaide. She says, "Mum, Dad, you know that little Italian boy I've been dating? Well, he's asked me to marry him," and I said yes. And his family have agreed to restrict their guests, their top 420 friends and family. I need about $20,000 to pay for my half of the wedding. Dad is Neil from The Young Ones. And what's he say? My little girl. My little girl. Yeah, of course. Goes back to the same bank and gets another personal loan for about 20 grand to pay for the wedding. By the time they come to see you, they've got a mortgage, 2 personal loans, a car loan, 5 credit cards, an AGC line of credit, and a letter from the bank saying, "We're taking your house. Get out." Now, all of a sudden, it becomes clear to you why the wife is so angry, why the wife hates you with a passion. You simply represent another cog in the machine that's about to cost her her home. And she's angry and she's frustrated and she doesn't know why this happened. Bad people lose their homes and we're not bad people and we're about to lose our home, and she's ticked off. About this time, where you're based, property prices started to rise. In fact, let's call it Canberra, and let's suggest that their property was in a suburb called Ainslie. Ainslie's a bit less than a kilometre from both universities and the city centre. They're on a 1,600 square metre block of land, and the demand for urban infill, 3-storey walk-ups, is just huge. Going bananas, and property prices are jumping through the roof. They don't know this because they're teachers. So you ring a friend of yours who's a real estate agent, and you ring up and you go, hey, I've got this, blah, blah, blah. And the real estate agent mate says, mate, I don't care what the house is like. I've got a builder who will pay you X today in cash. Give me 2 weeks to market this place. I'll get you Y. And in fact, when the valuer goes through, they value it higher than the real estate agent suggested he could sell it for. So you do some numbers based on that, and you work out they don't have too much debt. The problem they've got is, like this tabletop, their debt is simply too wide. They're trying to push too much through the mud at one time, and it's simply too hard. And what you say to them is this. You say, what if we take this tabletop and we grind it up into a stick? We can then focus all our energy on one point. If you try to push a stick through the mud, it's easy, isn't it? And then you work out that you can take their payments from here to here, less than half what they're currently paying, and in fact, save their home. And you write some numbers on a bit of a pad, and you crunch your calculator, and you turn it around and you slide it across to him because he's the only one that's been paying attention. And she reaches across and she grabs the pad and she pulls it in front of her and she reads these numbers, and there's that uncomfortable silence. And she looks you in the eye and she says, are you telling me you can save my home? And you go, yeah, I think I can. And at that point, this little woman goes to pieces like you've never seen. She loses it in your office. And you go, what the hell's going on? She weeps like I've never seen someone weep before. And you're going, and the husband looks at her and he says, what have you done to my wife? You've got to be kidding me. She never does this. And all of a sudden, you realise that two things. A, I'm not in the mortgage business. I'm not in the finance business. I'm in the problem-solving business. This woman didn't come to me looking for a home loan. She came to me looking for an answer. Have you got something to help me? And the second thing I realised is why I did this. Why do I put myself through the late nights and the drama and all the problems and stuff? Because this is the kind of cool stuff you can do in this business. If you've never had a first home buyer come through and you help put this thing together and they go, thank you so much. If you've never had someone come in and give you a basket of stuff, give you a bottle of wine, that's why I do it, recognition and gratitude. So my question to you guys is, hey, you need to find why you do this, because there's lots and lots of tough times. And what business are you in? I think you guys are in the business of solving people's accommodation problems. I'll tell you what effect that had on my business. I had that epiphany. That was a true story. That happened to me. And when I tell that, I choke up because I can see her sitting in front of me. And that epiphany that I had this effect on my business. The average mortgage broker in this country settles about $9 million worth of business a year. I settled $440 million, almost $500 million worth of loans in just over 4 years. Because I stopped looking for finance and I started looking for people with problems that I could perhaps fix with finance. So you stop looking for listings and start to look for people who have accommodation problems, an accommodation need. I'll tell you what other effect that had on my business. When someone would come into me and say, what's your best rate, who's your best lender, what's your best fee? I could say, they're all very good questions, but what I need to do first is understand the extent of your problem. Would you mind if I asked you some questions? And the shortest course in selling is what? Ask questions and listen. Of course you can ask me some questions. Let's find out how big the problem was. That simple thing, understanding those two things in my business, took me from going, I can't do this anymore, to understanding why I took the hits every day in this business, and your business is no different. You take hits every day. You've got to know why. You've got to know why you get out of bed in the morning and put these two things on the floor and get going. If you understand that, if you understand the value of the impact you have in people's lives, then you understand the value that you have as agents.